Excellent. Right, today we welcome Phil Atkinson onto the Manufacturing Leaders podcast. So Phil is the managing director of BTS Fabrications at New Staycliffe, who are one of the UK's leading manufacturers in range screen systems and metal fabrications. He founded the business 13 years ago, and today they have 49 members of staff. Prior to this, he worked for CA Group and Evenwood for over 23 years. This is the first time Phil and I have met, so I'm looking forward to digging into his journey and finding out obviously quite a lot about the business. So yeah, Phil, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, very good, mate. How are things with you? All good?
Yeah, fantastic. Really having a good year and business is booming. No complaints.
Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Well, look, I like to get the podcast off the same question. So what does it mean for you to be a leader, would you say?
It means everything to me. Every time I pull into work and I look at what we've created, I have to pinch myself every day. It just means the world. I lead a fantastic organisation that's going places, that's run very, very well. It's profitable. And yeah, we're going places. Just before COVID, we were one of 50 the fastest growing firms in the Northeast. And obviously COVID happened and we moved back a bit, but we're back on that journey again.
Love that.
So yeah, as a leader, I'm just proud as punch.
I love the answer, because I think not that people forget, sort of scared to say it. I think people forget that why they do it in the first place sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I think so busy in the day-to-day and the granular, sometimes it's hard, isn't it, to literally just drive in, look at the building you're in thinking that was an idea from nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Everything we do, everything we make is showcased on the facade right outside my offices here. Yeah. So one of my favourite activities is doing factory tours. Yeah. And I task myself with at least one a month. At the moment, I'm doing about 2 a week. And I just love getting people here, showing the new offices we've created, showing the range screen on the walls, and showing the fantastic machines we've got. But like I say, I'm a leader of a brilliant team, and just to see the team excel and be part of the journey it's fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Excellent. I'm looking forward to digging around how we got there. So taking it right back to the start, I guess, those years ago. I mean, how did you get into manufacturing? What was, what sort of brought you into it initially, would you say?
To be honest, my dad was the managing director of Hathaway.
Okay.
At that time, they were the biggest roofing and cladding in the country.
Yeah.
From 1977 to 1983, he was the managing director. He used to take me to Hathaway's when I was about 8, 9 year old, and I'd meet the lads on the shop floor. And so it was just brought into me. And then 1983, he set up CA with 3 other people. My dad, BA and CA. I started there in 1985 as an apprentice. So it's all I've known. This is the only game I've ever been in. And it's in the blood. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, the roofing and cladding in the Northeast is monumental. There's so many people in this area. But yeah, it's like Phoenix from the flames. CA and Hathaway started it all. Yeah. Been a load of offshoots from there, but BTS are one of them.
So what was your, I guess, taking it back there then? You literally remember as a young lad being in the factory and seeing it, and brought up in that environment, were you?
12 years on the shop floor, making industrial gutters.
Yeah.
3 mil. I mean, I don't know how we got away with them days, but yeah, each gutter was about 180 kilograms, and there was 2 carrying them around because they were insulated, and I mean they're big, heavy things, and we used to bend them on night shift. And to be honest, it got me fit.
Yeah.
It gave me a good grounding because, like I say, I spent so long on the shop floor, and I had my boss taught me a brilliant work ethic. The supervisor on the shop floor in them days, he was just. I'm in contact with him on LinkedIn now, and I still thank him for making me what I am now.
Yeah, love that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and was there never a second thought that was the industry you would go into? Was it, I wouldn't say pushed on, but was it just discussed and at an early age, this is what you're going to do, son? Or did you just love it and wanted to do it, that it was never even a discussion?
I'll be honest with you. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to potentially go to university, and that's one of my biggest regrets that I didn't. Right. But my dad said, look, there's an opportunity for you here. You've got a good apprenticeship. Come and join the journey. Yeah. And I just went for it. I went for it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I've got a son who's nearly 19. I've got a daughter who's 25. They don't work here. They've done the education route, which I wish I had.
Mm-hmm.
How can I look back in hindsight and regret what I've done after we've got this? So
exactly that, and it's the age-old argument, I guess, anyway, which we'll maybe discuss later. That what is the best route? You know, is it the academic route, or is it the route obviously through industry? And I mean, imagine the respect you've always gained. It's been easy to get because of you literally started off as an apprentice, you worked your way up.
Yeah, been there and done it.
Yeah,
12 years on the shop floor. I went to night school because I wanted to better myself. So I did a management course on night school. And then I got opportunity to get into the offices as an estimator. Didn't really get pushed or helped by my dad, who was obviously the chairman at CA. His pure thoughts were, you've got to make it on your own, son. And that just gave me even more impetus to succeed. Got us a job as an estimator, then went and did another management course, CMS management course, and then got my boss's job when he moved on. So I became commercial manager, and I spent 6 fantastic years learning from my commercial director at CA. And yeah, he's another person who helped make me where I am today.
Nice, excellent stuff.
No regrets, yeah.
Do you think, where do you think your drive come from? Does it come from your dad, do you think, or it's just...
I think it's, are leaders born or leaders made, or are they born with a work ethic? Yeah, I must get a bit of drive from my dad. I must have. But I also think there was 2 people from CA who helped make me. The guy on the shop floor, if you didn't come in at 6 a.m. and you didn't work till 6 o'clock at night, he would blank you sometimes. It was I'm not saying that's correct, but that's what it was like in 1986, 87. If you just had to do the overtime and you had to graft.
Yeah.
And it was probably too much. You're just a young lad. But that work ethic of getting out of bed and doing that long hour and night shift as well, 12-hour nights, yeah, it's made me what I am today, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I agree. I right or wrongly, I worry a bit about the future because, you know, that isn't the norm anymore, is it? I mean, even 17, 18 years ago when I started recruitment, it was getting at 7:30, leave at 8, 9. If you left any earlier, you're frowned upon it. And that isn't the culture we've got now, or nor the culture I want now. It isn't. I think time has changed, but it made me what I am. Do you know what I mean? Like, it gave me good grounding. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It really is. Can you pinpoint? You mentioned 2 people there from CA. I mean, what was it about them apart from the regiment approach? Did you take from them a lot of management styles into your own management, or what was that sort of organic?
To be honest, the pair of them just had a fantastic work ethic.
Yeah,
I just watched the way they work, and I thought, you know, I've just got to be like that. Yeah. So just watch it, and they're both led by example. They got stuck in, and this guy he'd be with it. Right, you get on the other end of that press fill. We've got to get this out the door, and we just worked as a team. Mm-hmm. So he instilled the team. The team is everything. But then when I got into my sales, which is what I'm in now, my background is sales, and that's what I love. That's my passion. My boss at CA, he just taught me so much about sales, and he taught me how to enjoy it. Yeah. He said, enjoy it. It's not a chore. Come to work with a smile on your face. Enjoy meeting customers. Enjoy doing hospitality, and that's what I learned a work ethic from the shop floor, and I learned how to enjoy and become a better salesman through the next boss. When
was it you decided that the sales and the pricing side, contract estimating and commercial management was for you? Because I guess as an apprentice, you've got various different routes, haven't you? So did you know, was there something that triggered that? Or?
Well, it was just the fact that I went into estimating from the shop floor and I knew the products. Yeah. So it became the best route to market for me. I knew all the products. I knew them technically. I could sell a full building in them days because we didn't just specialise in rain screen at CA. We did the roofs, we did a built-up system, we did industrial gutters. And I knew them all inside out. I could design them. I was technically minded, commercially minded, and I made sure that the customer was king. If I had an inquiry, and it was in my head, I've got to look after this customer. Yeah. So I grew to there was about 20 customers who came to me all the time because I wanted to look after them. And it wasn't just about the crack and like who have you played at the weekend. I'm a Middlesbrough fan, and yeah, I wouldn't say that, but that was important. But in my head, I knew I had to look after this customer and get the quote back. But I didn't just do that; I'd follow it up. Do the gutter calculation. I'd make sure that if we got the order, we were hitting the delivery, and yeah, so it wasn't just to get the order was the buzz, but watching it go out on the wagon was that's when you know you've followed it through and you've done the full job.
Yeah, 100%. How early on your career was it when you actually started to manage then, in terms of manage people or member staff?
I would say when I got the commercial manager's job at CA, yeah, that's when I had a team around me, and and it was only a small team, to be fair. It was only 3-4 people, but yeah, that was the first time I managed, and I was 30, 31, 32, and I was just ripe and ready, but yeah, I didn't really full-time start managing a bigger team until I came to BTS when I was 40-year-old. I always think about it now. Was I ready? I wish I'd done it earlier because I've really enjoyed the last 13 years. Yeah. Was I ready? And I've since spoke to my commercial director, who's actually left CA now, and we've become friends again. And I said, you know what? I don't think I was ready when I was 32, 35, 36. And I think when I became 40, I'd matured and I was ready to take on the role here. So,
yeah. Why do you think that was that?
Been a steady progression, but I think the journey I've needed and the things I've done, I've needed to do everything before I've become where I am.
Would you say that's because at that stage you hadn't done enough in your own personal career to be, I guess, selfless enough to help others, would you say? Or could you pinpoint why you potentially weren't ready then and are now?
I just think you mature, don't you? You mature. And I've got a young lad working for me. He's my sales office manager in here, and he's only 28-year-old. And I'm thinking, God, you're 10 years in front of where I was when I was 28.
Yeah.
Think of what he could become when he's my age or even 40.
Yeah.
I just think you mature. And if in hindsight, I probably spent too long on the shop floor, 12 years. Yeah. Great times, but I wish I'd maybe spent 6 years and then moved up. And I think I would have been maybe 6 years in front of where I am now. But how can I, like I said, I'll repeat myself, how can I regret my journey? Because it's been monumental, and every little bit of what I've done has made me where I am now.
Yeah, brilliant. And obviously moving from the CA group to starting your own business then, would you mind digging around in terms of what the situation was?
Yeah. Back in 2009, I felt I needed to move on to further my career. I was enjoying the previous company and I was board designate, but I wanted an opportunity. I wanted to have a go on my own. And 2009, in the middle of a recession as well, times, and my peers at CA questioned why I wanted to do it, but I just had the drive, and I thought, I've just got to do it now. Got to do it. And from 2009 to 2012, we grew BTS from literally 400 grand a year to 3 million in 2 years.
Amazing.
It was just get in at 6 and do all my office duties till about 4 or 5 o'clock, and then go out on the shop floor between 5 and 10 o'clock and get the work out the door. And we did that for 2 years. And we still done that well as recent as 3 years ago, going in on a Saturday and a Sunday and helping on the presses. So it doesn't stop. You've still got to think of the team and getting the work out the door. But yeah, the early days was so memorable. I recently put a post on LinkedIn of me. It was on the Northern Echo back in 2010 when we did a bit of PR, and it showed me with a bullnose out next to the factory in Spennymoor then. And I look so young, and it was only
yeah, it's awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
7 years ago, and I just think I've had a business and 2 kids since, and it's like there's a lot more grey hair now, a lot more grey hair.
I've seen a couple of your posts on LinkedIn. I love the way that your family's first on a weekend, but then you'd get back into the work on a Monday type of thing. You cherish your family time, don't you?
Yeah, you know what? It was similar to you. There was something. There was a trigger there, but there's just something where time-wise I need to do it now. and it couldn't have been worth timing when I started. My little girl was due to be born, who we thought was a lad, hence the name Theo James. We'd just moved house, and it couldn't be worth time. But when you know it's right, you're just going to go for it, aren't you? But my non-negotiable with my missus, were I would be back at 6. Be back at 6 for bath time. And then I'd, don't get me wrong, I'd jump back on. I still do now, jump back on most nights, from 8 or 9, whatever, and do a couple of hours, because you've still got to do what you've got to do, haven't you? And that's just part and parcel. But yeah, I think to get that balance it's tricky, and it's been an ongoing process. I didn't get that right initially, in honesty. Probably the first year, I even when I was there in body but not in mind, because it's so hard building a business, isn't it? And it's always.
It is.
And it gets, I would say it's easy. You just learn mechanisms to deal with, don't you? But
you learn to delegate better, don't you?
Yeah, you do. But it's just an obsession. But I mean, go back to what you mentioned on the hours you did. I mean, those habits would have been built. You can probably take that right back to when you're an apprentice, and do you know what I mean? Working those hours and that being more. Which
I don't think we were always productive because we were so tired.
Yeah.
To do it. So you're going back on a night and you're like. You were like coffeeed, and the wife would come down with fish and chips and feed you, and she'd to bed. And I mean, I was driving a Mercedes at CA, a very good salary. I went where I did, and half my salary, and I was driving a Skoda.
Yeah.
It's just what I had to do. I had to go back to my basics, back to my roots.
Yeah.
Just graft.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've got
a monumental journey. I don't regret.
100%. Did you? So you started that journey with members of your family? Is that right? Was it?
Yeah. It's a family business. There's my wife, my stepbrother, my brother, 2 brother-in-laws, and my dad. My dad was he's 81 now, and he still comes in on a weekend and stands on machines and go up and down, and he's motivating factor. And the first few years, he'd come in and say, right, son, we're going to get on the guillotine, we'll cut this job. I mean, how can you knock that? A self-made man who's made all that money and coming in and helping us. It was a great family feel about it that, brilliant, honestly.
And you must look back at those days even now and just, they're the memories, aren't they? They're the stuff you never forget, and how the business was bought. And they're almost, even the hardest times are almost the most fun sometimes, because you get through it together, don't you? Particularly, I imagine, as a family, that adds an extra element to it.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there was a core team of maybe 10 of us, but it was only the family who did the daft hours on the night, and one other guy, one non-family member who's since been made a director here as well, because of history and his work ethic in the early days. But it was me, my dad, and my brothers who were coming back on the night to finish jobs off.
Do you find it impossible to switch your mind, because obviously you go home to people you work with as well to some extent? Are you now able to go work, separate, and so on and so? Is it just is it sort of a?
Yeah, to be honest, I do try, and I'll still work on a night, and I'll ask questions of the wife, and she'll say, Philip, I'm not talking about work now. Well, even this morning when I was doing a bit of role play for this with her, she was receptive because she doesn't work on a Friday. But sometimes she'd say no.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that I needed a quick hand with today, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good. But it's
as I've got older, you just learn that that's work and that's home.
Yeah.
And I still love it, and it's my passion to work on a weekend, but I do it when I'm allowed to, if you know what I mean.
Have you learned to deal with the sort of lows any better? Because I'm just thinking of my own personal journey, if you like. When we first started out, I mean, when something went wrong right initially, it was so important that it was affecting me. It was really, really difficult. Now you take the highs and lows a little bit more. You've learned. Have you sort of been on a bit of a journey there in terms of your own mentality and how you think of things, would you say?
I think it was just exhaustion in the early days.
Yeah.
A weekend, you were that tired that you couldn't even get the energy up to go out.
Yeah.
I love going out. I love enjoying it. My philosophy has always been work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
In the first 3 to 5 years, you just had no energy, and you were just, I think you were in a zone you couldn't get out of.
Yeah.
You were thinking, well, I've got to do it. But at the same time, you were enjoying it. but then you couldn't really enjoy your family time because you were too tired.
Yeah.
I mean, that's from a personal perspective, but obviously there was laws when customers don't pay and stuff like that, and you've worked that hard, or when a customer and they're the other laws, because you think, man, I've worked. Some of these people who you've trusted, they were your friends, and they've let you down and they haven't paid you. But I mean, one of my early lessons is get credit insurance. So we've had credit insurance for 10 years now. We had a couple of bad debts in the early days, which really hurt, because obviously you're a young, growing company. Yeah. You don't want that in when you've got your cash flow where it is. But yeah, every year now, the first thing we pay is credit insurance, just so you can sleep on a night.
Yeah, big time. It's
a good lesson.
The sort of stuff you don't learn until you have to. You learn the hard way, don't you? That type of stuff.
You do.
No doubt.
Yeah.
In terms of management-wise, how did you organise that? Because obviously it's a family-run business. The dynamics are very different. Do you know what I mean? Was it all set early doors that you will manage this team? That we'll do it separately, or is it?
It just. I'm sales, so I just made I'd be like a sales director role. I look after the customers. I do all the pricing. Yeah. I set up Sage. I set up a pricing and discount structure, and it just became organic that I would do that. And my brother he's engineering. He wanted to do the shop floor, so it was just a good split between I'll do the factory bit, you do the sales bit. My wife came in and did the finance bit, which I was doing myself for the first part. Yeah, it just organically grew like that. And like I say, from 3 million in 2 years up to our target this year is going to be 9 million.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's big business. But yeah, you've just got to, another thing you learn as you get older is you've got to do budgets, and you've got to try and hit budgets. You've got to have financial constraints right across the business, where you've got your KPI'd. Yeah. In the early days, you just work, get the orders in and work. But now it's all data.
Yeah.
So it's changed the way we work. We plan a month's production, and we hit that production, we hit that target. And if we don't hit that target, we engage with the shop floor and we share that information. We share the risk, we share the highs and the lows with the shop floor. So they're constantly engaged in how we perform.
Excellent.
That's one of the things I've learned, that you need an engaged workforce. You involve them in the decisions. You make them part of the team. You share the risk, but you also make them autonomous. You make them responsible for what you want to do, realizing you can't do it all yourself.
Yeah, big time. And I think nail on the head there in terms of, they help you make decisions, because ultimately, I think in today's world, if you just make all the decisions and they're not on board with them, they're not going to carry them through. So is that something you're obviously very passionate about? Is that something you've always been passionate about, or that organically happened as the business has grown into the?
No, to be honest, that's more organically happened.
Yeah,
and that's more where we've had a bit of we've had people come in and advisors. We've had a lean consortium come in and help us on how we can improve efficiencies and how we can engage with the shop floor. And we've recently employed an operation director who's helped sales and production in the engagement philosophy. So someone who's come in and done it before. Yeah, I mean, we just humble family members. We don't have them skills, but yeah, we've learned them skills, and we've learned that an engaged, autonomous workforce is the way forward.
Excellent. And outside looking, that's very much the case. Do you know what I mean? It seems like a good, tight-knit, family-run business, but now the culture is obviously spread across the team, and you can tell that. And it's and you know what? I think I'm in a position now where we speak to people all day long who tell us why they want to leave jobs, and I think a lot of companies, particularly post-COVID, are not wanting to work for these big corporate firms where they're just a number. They want to be part of something. You know, I imagine for you to report those numbers going from 3 to this stage to 9 million. You know, I imagine that gets reported on a regular basis, and that they feel part of that.
Yeah. Every Tuesday, we get all the lads off the shop floor in a room. We tell them how we're going to hit target, or where we're going with target. We tell them about problems. Like I say, we've recently had a customer who's had the credit insurance retracted, and we've got a lot of work in progress. So we literally it was March as well, right at the end of our financial year, we had to totally reorganise that month's work.
Yeah.
£200,000 worth of work in progress out of the target that we had for that month and try and backfill it with other work. But every employee was involved in that decision. We communicated that to the best of our, shared the risk, because look, this is what's happening. We've had the credit insurance removed. We've got to get over this. We're covered, but this is what we've got to do to get around it. And we didn't hit target that month because of it, but they were aware and they bought into why we didn't. So everyone's drilled by figures, data, and open decisions. That is the only way.
And how would you have any other advice for companies, I guess, because I think a lot of companies are going through this journey are trying to get people involved in the business more. And I think for you, what advice would you give for a company, I guess, to try, like I say, to get to 9 million, what that means for them in terms of any tips, how you would create a culture where they're bothered about hitting that 9 million? Because a lot of people are sitting in companies going, I don't care if I hit it or not. Do you know what I mean? There's no consequence either way.
Set up a meeting off-site, go to the Excel centre, book a room for 2 hours, prepare a presentation, make it funny, put a quiz in there. This is what we did only 2 months ago, and talk about your business plan. Talk about where you're going, how are you going to do it, and then, like I say, just get people engaged. If you see people aren't switched on, just make everyone involved in the day, and that's what we started. So I would first of all do an engagement day. I would do a weekly meeting with them, which is what we do, and just learn that you can't do it all yourself. You've got to have a bit of autonomy, and you've got to rely on people to make decisions, and just be transparent.
Yeah. Love that. And transparency massively as well. I think that's one thing that a lot of companies are scared to be, I think, and leaders are scared to be transparent about their own pains. And it's something I probably learned, because when I started this business, I'd managed before, but similar to you, I'd managed very, very small teams, two people, max 3. And I think it's such a big difference, isn't it, when suddenly you've got a bigger team and you've got to lead them, that you're almost scared to be transparent and scared to fail and make mistakes. That's one thing I've learned, I guess, that I'll just be open now and I'll say, this is what we're doing. And if it doesn't work, I'll hold my hands up and say that was a crap idea. Do you know what I mean? We'll do something else, because I just think you've got to be human, haven't you? I mean, you mentioned obviously now you're in a much better stage of your career to be able to manage large teams versus where you were sort of the CA group. What do you think now makes you a good leader, or a better leader, would you say?
Like I say, I've matured. I've learned from people around me. I've just done a 12-week government help to grow course, which is, to be honest, it's probably taught me that what we're doing well. Yeah. Every module was, the first module was digital adoption, which at the moment we're looking to put an ERP system in. Yeah. We've learned that our current database and our spreadsheets, we've got too much going on. So ERP is very important to the business, which we're going to invest a lot of time and money in that. And we hope to have an ERP and a CRM system live in October. Okay. But the other modules, the leadership and the engagement, it proved to me that we're doing it right. Yeah. But there was 12 other people on the course with us. So to learn from them as well and listen to their ideas, I probably got more from the people around me than I did off the actual course itself. But yeah, brilliant. Really can't recommend it enough. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you about any advice on the help to growth thing, because it's subsidised by the government, and you still carry on with your business. It's only 1 day a week, half a day, 1 day a week, and it's certainly helped me on my journey.
Has that been, obviously you mentioned, the early days you went through the practical route, not the academic route. I'm right in saying now you're going back and you've done more the academic side, I guess.
More the academic side, yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's a mixture though, isn't it? 12 years was probably too long. I think, like I say, half that would have been good enough, but yeah, back to basics, know your products, and then do the academic route. Yeah. You need a mixture. Yeah. You just need to embrace your team and empower your team. That's important. Engage, empower, and the team philosophy that you work as one. We're all one. We're all one big family. one goal to get that work out the door and hit targets and be profitable.
Yeah.
And if you're not, you let everyone know that why you're not performing that way.
100%. And I guess leading and managing, I mean, what do you maybe now or previously, what do you find is the most sort of challenging aspect of management? Because it's something that people still struggle with a lot and continue to struggle. So are there any challenges you've ever had where you've, I guess, overcome, would you say, management wise?
Yeah, as you can imagine, working closely with a family does bring. Yeah, we've had some very tense moments in board meetings where you do disagree.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're there for a common goal. We might not agree on everything, but sometimes a bit of, I wouldn't say conflict's good, because conflict isn't good, but if you manage your conflict and you come out the other side with a happy result, and it's a democracy and you all vote for, it's not all like, right, we're going to do this and bang on the table. You vote for stuff. Yeah, we've had some tense times over the 13 years at the board level, but yeah, that's probably been a difficult part, getting the right answers through board meetings and working with family. But again, no regrets.
Excellent. And obviously, look, we've just been, it seems to be one thing after another, but I guess we've had at least 2 years of difficult situations to navigate around, Brexit, COVID, supply chain issues, the war and whatnot now. How was that? I mean, have you had any times where it's been sort of squeaky bum time, we've got to...
Well, March 2020, we just had our record year. We just done 8.3 million.
Yeah. And
recorded good profits. And all of a sudden it just stopped, didn't it? And you're like, empire just felt like it was unfolding around me. I had no control of what was going on, didn't know what to do. And I spoke to my dad, and my dad says, look, you've just got to go into work, smile, you've got to lead and make everyone feel as if, look, you're okay, we're going to get through this. But in the first few days, I think a couple of drinks on the night because I was that down with it. No one expected what was going to happen, and it happened for as long as it did. But I mean, luckily the government did rally round, and the furlough scheme was very, very good, and that supported us. We took 3 civil loans, which we invested, to be honest. We've used at the moment, you had to stockpile aluminium because there was no aluminium out there. So we used the government money to stockpile, and we used the government money to pay people early so we can get settlement discounts. So we lent a lot of money. We've repaid most of it back, but the government stepped up and the government were there for us. So COVID was massive to us. It was, but it made us stronger. And like I said, we've come out the other end and we will get back to where we were. We'll hit 9 million. We've got capacity in this factory to do up to 30 million, we think. We've also invested in the field next to us. We've got another 7 acres to move on.
Amazing.
We testing times, but yeah, you get through it and you come out the other end, definitely.
You do. And everything you said there, I was smiling because it resonated with me so much, because it's sometimes you kind of block it out, don't you, when you think about it. I'm in the exact same situation. We'd literally just come off we'd had our record year. We'd had ironically a record week of offers just before those days where literally couldn't have gone any better. And then it was as though someone switched the lights off, and it was and the fear you've got, I think, when you own a firm, when you've got people's lives at stake, haven't you? I mean, openly.
You're looking after 49 people's families, aren't you? It's not just your family. You're looking after. And to be fair, in them days we had 55 people. Pre-COVID, we were up to 55.
Yeah.
We had to make our first redundancies. We made 8 people redundancy during that process. But like that was, when you talk about difficult times. And in hindsight, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, there was one lad who had been with us since 2010. I wouldn't say you were getting rid of people it was an opportunity to get rid of a bit of deadwood, because there was some good people in the 8 people, really good people, and it still hurts me now that we had to go through that process.
Yeah, exactly the same, because it is particularly people like you say who have been loyal, and but you've and my worst part of my job is letting people go under any circumstances. even
Yeah.
if I'm underperforming, even if I know it's the right decision, it's still the worst part of the job. But you've got a duty for your own family and the families of those in the business, haven't you? And that's ultimately what every decision is going to come down to. You're putting food on the table and you run the business, but it's so hard. And yeah, exactly the same with you. I remember before the government schemes came in place, before I knew what the word furlough meant, I was, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I had to Google it, and I still.
Exactly that. And because you've got questions that you don't know the answer to, but you've got to pretend you do, or you've got to find them out very quickly.
Yeah.
People are in panic.
You know what helped me? We collaborate with quite a few local companies. I got on really well with the managing director of the Expanded Metal Company in Harley.
Good guy. Yeah,
I got on really well with the managing director of one of our steel suppliers, and I'd just share information with them.
Yeah.
The policies we were doing, I'd run past them, and they would run their policies past us. This is what we're doing now, because everyone was learning, weren't they?
Yeah.
At least everyone was in the same boat.
Yeah.
You don't think like that when you're a business leader. You think, God, what am I going to do now? You panic.
Big time.
And but yeah, I learned it was good to collaborate with some good people, share policies, share information, and communicate to the workforce the best policy that you thought at the time was going to get you through this.
Yeah, 100%. And when those government schemes came in place, exactly same as you, it felt like I took my first breath in 2 days. That there's a little bit of light in the tunnel here, because when you're looking at P&L and we were literally looking at no potential, no incomings for however. Our contract book were gone. Every offer we had were being canned. All the jobs, live jobs. And I was thinking, we've got X amount in the bank, and we had probably 3-4 months in the bank, which is what they say you should have. But thinking, well, if this lasts for 6 months, we're in trouble. But actually, I think I learned that things aren't always as bad as you think they're going to be. In reality, the schemes came in place. Our contract book came back. A lot of our clients were classed as key workers, because we do a lot of pharmaceuticals, food and whatnot. We had a big medical client, and we actually were fine over COVID in the end. But you do learn, don't you, some resilience and how deep you can dig yourself in your own mentality, and likewise
in your head you've got to. It's not doom and gloom, but you've got to think of the doom and gloom, because you've got to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had some really bad, tense situations with late pays and debt, and I take it personally. I really do. I'm like on holiday reading communication when you try and go legal, and you take it to heart. And after we work so hard to get a job over the line and we're not getting paid, that's what hurts. It really, really.
Completely agree.
I'm missing there, but yeah.
No, I get it, 100%. And you mentioned me there, which was interesting, about working with some local businesses, which I'm a massive fan of. It's something that actually we do a lot in recruitment. I'm part of a networking firm, and I call people on a weekly basis who are competitors, and you never think of it, but like you say, you've got the same problems all the time, haven't you? And that got me through COVID. We're part of a recruitment networking group, and it was literally me a lifeline to speak to people and trial things together. Is that I've recently joined a couple of the manufacturing networking groups now, which I've never done before, and I'm really enjoying. And I've been pleased to see there is a community, particularly Northeast, of manufacturers together, which has actually been really, really good to see. Is that something you draw upon quite a bit now?
Well, I'm part of Ben Gillespie's network.
That's right. I am now. Yes. So,
and we're also members of the Advanced Manufacturing Forum, AMF.
Yeah.
We've just recently become members of the FSB, the Federation of Small Businesses. We just won a family award up at Newcastle for the Northeast Family Business of the Year.
Amazing.
We go to the national final on the 19th of May.
Yeah.
So the networking them three corporations have brought to this business has been instrumental. And sometimes you think you don't have time to network with other people.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it?
But when you do, you realise, God, I should have been doing that a long time ago.
Yeah.
We deal with EOS I know Steve Thompson around the corner. We collaborate with EOS. We collaborate with the Expanded Metal Company. I collaborate with all our supply chain. Our supply chain is very important to us. And it just helps you. It helps you make decisions. It helps you move on, and you learn out there that there's people in the same boat as you that can help you helps you get answers to questions. And like I say, when I was doing this Help to Go course, I've made a couple of really good friends, and we had a night out in York just last week with everyone who completed the course. And to have, it's all right having the day on the course and learn, but then to go out and have a couple of drinks and a beer, you get to learn people better, don't you? The shutters come down, and you learn people by you learn the personal side of people, not just the business side. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of doing what we're doing today as well.
Yeah, absolutely same. It's you know, it's always been good for me to see actually the people have the same fears as well. People have the same fears. You know, but we're all driven. You know what I mean? I think you won't find a leader, you won't find a manager or a leader who shouldn't do, who isn't driven by something. But actually, I think the misconception is that people are robotic and they don't have problems, they don't have fears, and they just crack on with it. Well, that isn't the case. You know, we might pretend that is the case to staff sometimes, but we've all got fears we have to go through and problems. So no, I completely agree. And you mentioned the award there as well, which is brilliant. Congrats on that. I think that's
yeah.
amazing.
Well, since then I've got another very important thing we did. We recruited a non-executive director.
Yeah.
We have Gary Lumby working for us. He chairs all our board meetings, and he gives me personal objectives. And he sat down with me on the 20th of December this year, and he said, "Phil, I want you to win an award this year."
Yeah.
So like in the back of my head, right, we've also applied for the Make Your Mark Awards on Aycliffe Business Park. We're in 3 categories in that. That's on the 20th of May. So we go from Glasgow on the 19th down to Redworth Hall on 20th. And then we're also in the final of the Tall Building Awards in one of the categories down in London on that. So amazing. Gary's given me the objective of winning an award.
Yeah.
It's like a bus service. We've gone from winning nothing over the last 13 years. We have applied to hopefully we're going to win potentially 2 this year. So
the Tux is getting a good run out today, isn't it?
It certainly is, but it's great. It's great to share with the lads on the shop floor. Look at what we've done. But what we're doing with Glasgow, we've taken 3 from the shop floor and 6 from the offices, and we're going to make it a proper BTS day in Glasgow where we're all involved. Big photo opportunity, big PR opportunity, and hopefully we'll win.
Brilliant. And you know what? I think that the good thing about that is, and this is probably where my mentality changed a bit with awards. I think previously I kind of thought it was all for external purposes. It was all for so companies can say that they're award winning and such, and for hiring and whatnot. But we sponsored the Made Northeast Awards recently, which was an amazing day. Like, it was brilliant, and we're going to do it every year. And I just think, and I was speaking to so many people from the night who won and were part of it. And it was nothing about the external side. It was about the internal message and about being part of something and trying to get something together and just taking them out on the night and having a table and stuff. And I thought, that's what it's about. It's it is good externally. It's a good message, but actually for you to say, this is what we're being part of, to win or not, it's a big statement, isn't it?
It is big time.
Yeah.
The message, it resonates across the whole shop floor. It does. I know it does.
Yeah.
See that, to walk in here and see the trophy in our reception. Yeah, I'm very proud. Very proud.
Yeah, too right. And look, you strike me as someone who is extremely proud of what you do, and you know what, that is great to see, because it's I wouldn't say it's a rarity, but I think sometimes people, I say, are so lost in the granular of what they're doing that it's difficult, I guess. And I imagine you're a massive influence now for anyone coming in and being a big part of people making a decision to take that step, because
anyone who comes in, the first thing I say to them is make themselves indispensable, because that's what Dad used to say to everyone who came in to say, but I say that as a joke way now, because that's the old school way. Come in and enjoy it, and if you enjoy it, you'll make something of it. Enjoy it, care about your customers, look after your customers, and just, like you said, just enjoy the atmosphere. It's a nice, happy atmosphere, and excel. Use it as your forum to move forward, like I did all them years ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you enjoy it, you shouldn't. We talk about work-life balance; it's important, but sometimes separating the two is the problem, isn't it? Going work, life, enjoy, don't enjoy. You can enjoy both. I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah.
You should never ever be in a job that you don't enjoy. Like, it's madness. It's
Yeah,
just,
totally with you.
yeah, you have bad days.
You do have bad days, you do, but you have more good days than bad days, don't you?
Exactly that. If you don't want to weigh him, then exactly that. You obviously mentioned, your dad's a big influence, obviously, in what you've done. Has anyone else been influential and influences you now in terms of what you do, or has influenced you?
I think Gary Lumby's given us a lot of objectives, and I've learned a lot from Gary, and I socialise a bit with Gary now. We do a bit of hospitality at Middlesbrough Football Club together, and yeah, he's been a good influence. But my wife's helped me big time.
Yeah.
In the early days when I lacked a lot of confidence. She'd helped me with my phone. After 12 years on the shop floor, I was scared of the phone.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it. It was like,
you get it, don't you?
Thing there, you've got to pick up and talk to people. So she'd done all that, and she's helped me with my presentation skills, my phone skills, and just picked me up when I've been down. Come on, Philip, you can do it type of attitude. So yeah, my wife holds a big part of my career.
Brilliant.
And the pluses of my career. And now we work together. Yeah. Look, she's downstairs and I'm upstairs because we'll argue a bit at work, but it's healthy. And I respect what she does and she respects what I do. And it works.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, I've got a few sort of, I won't say quick fire questions, but a few questions I'd like to go through. What are three things that you think make up a good leader?
Well, because what I learned from my first two bosses was lead by example, enjoy it, excuse me, and like I said, just empower through engagement and make sure it's not you think about your team. Bring the team together, make them feel part of what you're doing, and just bring them on the journey. Put your arm around them. This is where we're going. This is where I want you to come. Give them KPIs, give them data, give them expectations, because if they don't have something to work towards, they might not do it. And then appraise them. Do one-to-ones. Don't just do a yearly annual appraisal. Sit down with them regularly. And just engage. That is I know there's more than three there.
No, it is. It's I like it.
It's everything, isn't it? It's everything.
Yeah, it is so difficult to pinpoint.
Probably learn to delegate. I mean, I've learned over the years, in the early days, you were doing it all yourself. Now I do try and delegate out. And you always think this person's not going to do it as well as I. But you coach them and you tell them how you want them to do it and you put your arm around them. Come on, do it like this. But nicely, empower them. No autocratic. It's all just empowerment. And everyone will come on that journey with you. That's what I think they're the most important parts of leadership.
I think the delegation one is the hardest, I think, for when it's your business, it's so hard to delegate because it's your baby, isn't it? And you don't think anyone can do it as well as you can.
You know what I did from 2009 all the way up until 2019, I did the invoicing.
Yeah.
I sat on a night doing the invoicing because I thought if you price it right, you invoice it right, you're going to make money.
Yeah.
I held on to that for too long.
Yeah.
Now I've got one lad who he does it as good as me, but it took a long time for me to move to trust someone to take that off me.
Yeah, it is hard. It's
a very good example of where I should have got rid of that within 3 years.
Yeah.
I still worry about it because you've got to. So I still check because it is so important.
Yeah.
Right, sell it right, make it right, the quality's right. Have your standards in place, such as ISO 9000, your health and safety standard 45001, your environmental standard, because they're prerequisites in this industry.
Yep.
And bloody make sure you invoice it right. And then your back end of customer care, making sure your customers are happy and hitting delivery dates. And manage your customer expectations, because they can't always have everything. But as long as you manage it and communicate with them, you've got a successful business. I might have digressed a bit there again, but
that's why I enjoy it. So
my passion comes out, unfortunately. My passion does come out.
This sounds going to be hard for you, but I'm going to have to push you for an answer. What's more important for you, the academic route or job learning?
It has to be a mixture. It's got to be go and learn the products, go and get absorb the culture of the shop floor. Look at how we use the automation. Go and spend a day doing it, but even if you do a couple of time studies, and I mean, to be honest, with the ERP system coming in, we have done a lot of time studies down there. So when we pricing up here, we know exactly how long something's going to take. But so yeah, you need to understand how the product's getting made, which if you put it through a certain machine that it's automated, how it's going to be quicker than manual. But then bring it back into here, into the sales side of it. Do a course. I mean, we've got 3 people in here doing university at Teesside. I've got 2 people on engineering degrees, and my sales office manager is doing a management degree. Yeah. So yeah, but they've spent time on the shop floor and they've spent time doing academic. We're members of the MCMRA, which is like the roofing and cladding body for training and everything. And I'm going to send 2 of my lads on a practical course, learning how a rain screen gets put together and stuff like that. So, yeah, so it's definitely got to be a mixture of both. Definitely.
Nice. If you could go back to your first day of managing someone, what advice would you give yourself?
After what I've talked about there, it's got to be the delegation. You've got to learn to delegate. You've got to realise that you can't do it all yourself. Yeah. You've got to set up a culture of autonomy. You've got to trust people. You've got to coach them. You've got to show them how it's done. But yeah, I learned big time there. I learned big time. I think you're still learning every day. Yeah. But if back in 2009, if I sat down with myself now after 13 years doing this, right, that's what I'd change. Delegation, definitely.
Love that. Excellent.
You can trust people to do what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you quickly realise that some people can do things better than you can yourself, which is difficult, isn't it?
Because they've got more time to do it, yes. So.
Yeah, exactly that. And look, I'm obviously passionate about business and I'm passionate about management, but I'm also really passionate about manufacturing. I love it. But I think it's got its problems. I mean, how do you think we could improve the future of the manufacturing in the UK? What do you say?
Oh God, it's got so many answers, hasn't it? But the biggest answer is, especially after Brexit, it's become self-sufficient. Yeah, we rely on China, we rely on Turkey, we rely on Russia. When we ran out of aluminium 2 years ago, well, not even 2 years ago, this time last year, you just couldn't get aluminium for love nor money. But we used to have smelters. We used to make our own aluminium. And now I think we have 1 smelter left in the UK, and that's mainly for extrusion. It's not for sheet. So I think the biggest thing that UK can learn is, yeah, we've got to become self-sufficient again.
Yeah, definitely.
And we can't rely on other supply chains anymore.
And I think a lot are learn that and are onshoring and looking at ways they can bring things up there. And because some supply chains are just too complicated, and now people have been hit with massive issues because of a variety of problems, basically, which has led to it. So no, I completely agree. Excellent. And you mentioned obviously with BTS, the 9 million being the next sort of big target. I mean, what do the next few years look like for you? I guess sort of further growth.
Further growth, without a doubt. Yeah, we want to get to 15 million again. Well, not again, but yeah, we want to rise to 15 million. Rain screen's still in. If you look at the life product cycle of rain screen, it's still in. It's just past infancy. All the architects want to put rain screen on different elevations. You've got glazing on one elevation, but you can't have glazing on every elevation because it's just too expensive. Yeah. Rain screen has a massive market in student accommodation. It's got a massive market in London residential, which is coming back big time. For us, we've got to get more clients on board. We've got to work with more residential. We do a lot with Barclay Homes down in London. I'd love to do more with a few student accommodation clients, and we want to get in front of more architects and get our tested products specified. We're going to be doing more product testing. We're going to be doing more accreditation. We're going to aim for BBA for rain screen, which I don't think any other supplier's got BBA. We've got lots of plans. So on the technical route, we're going to go down the commercial route, and we're going to continue to invest in automation. We've invested £2.2 million in machinery that work lights. I've got a punch down there that's automated. We can set it going at 6 o'clock on a night when we walk out of here, and it runs till 10, 11 o'clock at night until one, it's run out of material or it's run out of space to stack it. Yeah. Only 3 months ago, we had a job that was perforated for a big, massive balcony scheme in London. And the machine was running 12 hours through the night because it was just punch.
Amazing. Then.
While you're sat in bed, you've got machines going up and down in here, and there's no one here, and you're making money. That is utopia. It's really good. So continue the investment in automation, continue testing, and continue looking after clients and making sure we try and get to the top of the food chain instead of fighting with the roofing contractors on price. You don't want to be fighting on low margin. We've got to learn there's better margins out there.
Yeah, excellent. And look, you've got bags of passion, enthusiasm, Phil, which is great. So I've got no doubt you get there. And you've got big boots to fill. You know, if your dad's still on the shop floor at 81, you've got a bit of time left, haven't you? So yeah.
Put it this way, I will be here when I'm 81. I'll be in warmer climes. I can guarantee that.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But no, thank you very much for that. That was great. Really appreciate it, Phil.
No problem.
Good man.